All right, welcome everyone to the Tuesday afternoon team call. It is Tuesday, right? It's summer, so kids are out of school and I never know which day it is anymore. Happy you guys are all here. We had an absolutely incredible team call last night with the Slay Squad. We had David Atkins on. It was only 30 minutes, so if you didn't catch that, I would highly suggest going back and listen to that team call as well. The recording will be posted as soon as I find it. The only announcements that I really want to share, emphasize, are Coach Summit is coming up. If it's possible to get there, I would do whatever it takes to be able to go there. Brendan Bouchard's going to be there. He was probably one of the biggest personal development mentors that helped me become successful by the things I learned from him. And I'll get to see many of you guys there. I know Laura's coming all the way from Hawaii. I know that flights were really expensive, but she's gonna make it out there. So be excited to see you out there. Also, if you're a personally sponsored coach on our team, we have a team retreat in August as well in Salt Lake City. So if you don't know anything about that and you're interested, just reach out to me and we'll chat about that. And Laura's flying back out for that too. So she's a traveling queen this year. I would like to recognize and shout out everybody that's on this call, but I'm going to shout out Laura. She kind of followed the lead of Matthew. If you don't know Matthew on our team, he's going to compete in the Beachbody Classic. He put in the team page this like countdown tracker he has for competing in the classic, but also he put on there his diamond date that he went through the 90 days of, to diamond thing with Craig Holiday. And he set that goal. And speaking of Matthew, he is just hopping on right now. So Matthew, we are talking about you and your goal to hit diamond. But Laura took that example from Matthew that he put in the team page. She set her diamond goal date and she's going to achieve that. And we have no doubt about that. So with that being said, I want to announce our guest speaker, Jennifer Greenberg. Cool and long story short about Jen is we met through, as we both started our P90X journey before becoming Beachbody coaches. We had blogs, there's free blogs where we just documented our journey. And that's how we found each other, was through our P90X blog. So it's just kind of a reminder, everybody's teaching Instagram and Reels right now, and it works really well, but there are other ways to meet people. I know Laura is using the BNI. It's called BNI, right, Laura? Where she networks with people and gets to share her message and her story and connect with people. So there's tons of ways for you to get out there, share your story and meet with people. But Jennifer and I met through our blogs. Kind of a funny story is we were scripted by Beachbody coaches to join their team and we had no idea what it was. And they all were like, you got to buy Shakeology to join our groups and all of this stuff. And we were like, we had no idea what it was that they were doing. We just love P90X and we loved doing it and supporting each other and getting other people to do it. And we created this group where it was like, we're going to help you get results with these programs and you don't have to buy anything from us, basically, sort of group. And that's where it all started for us. And that became what was called the Staying Fit family. And it was the beginning of challenge groups per se, where people showed up, shared their journey, shared their workouts. Nobody was required to buy anything. And we just helped people get results. And that's where we really fell in love with the process of what this business is. Jennifer has gone on to lead an elite team a couple years. She is a $1 million earner, which is called the Legacy Club, which means over the life of her business and accumulative earnings, that's when you hit $1 million in accumulative earnings. So she is an incredible leader. If you look at the PV charts that I put up every week, like half of the people on that chart are from Jennifer Greenberg's downline and team. So it's absolutely incredible, the leadership that she has created through her example. So I'm going to pass the time over to you, Jen, where you get to teach us about how to create that summer workflow, because I need to learn this too.
All right. Hey, everybody. Well, it's so good to be back to having Dynasty calls, and I'm glad. Thank you so much for inviting me to share with you guys today. So a little bit about just my story before I get started. So, and it's so crazy to even like look at the calendar now because it's 2000, well, it's been 11 years now that I have been a coach. And so Scotty and I have like been in this from the beginning. Um, but I got started just like he said, we were both doing P90X and I had zero clue about any kind. I didn't know what network marketing was, or I didn't know what an online business was. None of that was like in my vocabulary. And really, I was just doing my thing, enjoying my workouts, and I was so annoyed with people that would ask, like, message us and say, um, like, ask about joining their team. And I specifically remember that there was like around the time that we were maybe around the time that Scotty and I had met and kind of become friends, there was like a promotion, I think, where you could sign up to be a coach for free. And so we were constantly getting bombarded by these people asking us to join their team. And I'm like, I don't even know what a team is. I don't know what you want me to sign up for. Um, so like back in the day, the P90X page, it was like Facebook was different. Like, I mean, like it's like every time we turn around, things are changing on social media anyway. So back in the day, the P90X page was different, and like people, it was more of a way that you could connect with other people than it is now, where like a Facebook page is run by the owner and that's kind of it. So anyways, there would just be lots of people that would kind of scroll through those pages and find people to annoy on there. So that's why Scotty and I were like, well, let's just do our own thing. So that way we don't have to be bombarded by these annoying coaches. And, but through that, we kind of found our groove in being able to help people and like finding the joy in giving other people the tools to see results. And it didn't matter if they were doing P90X or Insanity, or there was people that were doing just other things, running, doing dance fitness classes, just all kinds of things. We didn't care what it was. We just wanted to like support people in their journey. So anyways, once Scotty had kind of learned more about coaching and shared with me more about it too, eventually we both ended up signing up. And I I definitely didn't have the vision of thinking that this was going to be like a big part of my future. Like I just kind of thought it would be a nice little hobby for me because my husband was a police officer at the time. He was a new police officer, so he was like taking all the overtime he could take. And I didn't have a kid at the time, and I just had the one dog. So like I had a little bit of room for a hobby in my life. And so I just thought it would be something healthy to kind of fill my time a little bit. And just little by little, like Scotty would kind of push me to set a goal. And I was like, I don't really have any goals. But then, like, originally, I just kind of set a small goal of being able to get my nails done without having to feel guilty about it. And we had gone through the whole 2008 financial craziness, when people lost a lot of money in real estate and all of that. So we were definitely living like not even month to month, we were living like week to week. So like if there was a little bit of extra money in our account, I felt bad to spend it on getting my nails done, or having a coffee date with my mom or whatever. So I was like, well, I guess I'll set this small little goal, maybe $50, so I can just have a little bit of guilt-free money. And then just a little bit after that, like I started to hit that goal and I started to feel more comfortable and more confident. And I just started being exposed to more success stories of people that I could see, that I could relate to, people that were just like normal people, not somebody that I thought was, I don't know, like unreachable, like just people I was like, well, that person is doing it. I don't see why anything they're doing is different than what we were already doing in our free little non-beach body challenge. So that's kind of how I got started, and it just kind of built from there. And one small goal became a larger goal. And then my husband always says, once I turned 30, like I decided I needed a kid yesterday. So like I got to that point where we started being a little more serious about wanting to start a family. And just things just aligned financially to where I could see the potential with Beachbody, and my income was going up. And so I had saved up enough like vacation time and sick time. And I was kind of ready, or I was kind of wanting to leave my job as a paralegal. And jokingly, I was like, well, I don't want to leave all that sick time on the table, so we might as well have a baby. So I could have a paid maternity leave. And we were just joking about it. And then like shortly after that, that's when we were like, yes, let's go for it. So I had set this really big goal, you know, to be able to like leave on maternity leave and not come back after that. So I worked really hard. I was very dedicated and disciplined to like, you know, set those goals and kind of meet those little benchmarks along the way to make sure that that was going to be possible. But that was kind of the beginning stages. And once that ball was rolling, it just kept rolling into a bigger and bigger ball. And we were able to just achieve so many things, from, you know, me not having to go back to work, to then my husband leaving his, well, he's still in the police world, but now he gets to do it on his terms as a reserve officer. I lost my word. As a reserve officer, he's also able to dabble in his interests, which has been really rewarding to just be able, like, he loves being in law enforcement, but he had to let go of a lot of things in 2008 with the real estate crash. And so being able to open those doors back up for him to be able to get back into investing in real estate is so amazing, and something I never realized would open back up to us after having to go through bankruptcy and all that kind of stuff. You kind of assume that no mortgage is ever going to come back in your lap. But anyway, so it was just cool that he was able to kind of pursue things as well as me to be able to pursue things. And it's just opened up so many doors. We have an awesome 9-year-old son now. He goes to an amazing private school. We're able to travel and just expose him to a life that I definitely didn't have when I was growing up. And it's a life that I never really, like, I just can't even put a number on it. So it's definitely been a really rewarding journey. But now it's summer. So I know that things can get a little bit crazy in the summertime. And so let's switch gears out of talking about my story into talking about how to figure stuff out for the summer. So I have personally, well, one of the very first things Scotty taught me was, if you want to learn how to do something, you have to teach it. So I can't say that I have my summer flow together, but I know that like I have been taking steps to be much more intentional with my time and just with life in general lately. And so this is something that was super important to me. I don't know if you guys can relate, and if you can, definitely post it in the comments. But if you have ever had like a summer break, a winter break, fall break, whatever it is, even if it doesn't have to do with kids, like if you've ever kind of had in your mind how you thought it was going to go, and then like before you know it, winter break is over and you didn't do anything that you thought you were going to do. Like, if you're like, oh yeah, we're going to bake cookies and we're going to decorate these snowmen and we're going to go sledding, and like you have all these things that you think you're going to do, and it's like this picture perfect little winter break with all your kids being so happy and you're spending all this family time together. But the problem is that like you had all these expectations in your head, and then you never told anybody about it. Like you didn't tell your spouse about it. You didn't tell anybody like that would help to facilitate those things happen. So something that I'm kind of realizing lately, you know, how people always say that comparison is the thief of all joy. On the same note, like unspoken expectations are also the thief of all your joy. Because like when you have all these things in your mind of what you want your summer break to go like, or what you want your winter vacation to go like, or whatever it is, and you don't tell anybody about it, you get to the end and then you feel like a crap sandwich because you're like, I didn't do anything fun with my kids. I didn't take my spouse away for this little side weekend getaway. Like you didn't do any of the things that you wanted to do. So we have to get more intentional about those things so that you can capitalize on your time to be able to accomplish those things and also stay on top of your business and not let the momentum and everything that you've built so far this year to break away. So the very first way that you kind of have to start with that is just by kind of taking that time to just quiet your mind and to even think about what it is that you do want to accomplish, what you want your summer to look like, what you want your, like all of us are different on this call. Like maybe some of us have young kids where they're home from school. Maybe some of us have no kids and you really haven't had a change, but you still want to do some more fun things with your friends. Or you might have older kids that are like one of the girls on our team, Nina Pears, she has super active kids where she's like traveling to take them to like these athletic camps where they're trying to get discovered by college teams and stuff. So like there's a huge range of how things can be going for your summer. So you first of all like have to kind of think how you want it to go and just kind of plan what that ideal day and week looks like for you, because you definitely can't create it if you don't even know what it is. So you have to kind of plan those things out in the first place. So that's something that you've got to just kind of take that time, even if you just like turn off your phone, put your phone in another room, and just give yourself like 30 minutes to just think and just say like, you know, we always have those, it would be nice if ... you know, and if you just kind of fill in the blank on what those things are, and maybe it's not something that you can do this year, but if you don't know what it is, then you don't know what you're trying to work for. So after you kind of think of those things, you also have to incorporate your non-negotiables for the business, because like there are so many awesome things about our business. Like it does provide so much freedom and so much opportunity and so many just awesome perks as far as keeping your own self healthy on a good journey. But on the same hand, like with all those positives come some responsibilities. And Beachbody is not a business that you can just turn off for 3 months and say like, all right, I'm checking out, like, you know, and then I'm going to come back on September 1st and open the doors, turn my sign back on. Like it's one of those things that you have to show up in some form or fashion. Maybe your summer is going to look a little different than how you show up the rest of the year, but you've got to set those non-negotiables. So maybe your non-negotiables are going to be, you know, like committing to your own fitness journey, posting on social media, and, you know, doing your business activity tracker. Maybe, you know, until you kind of know what those non-negotiables are, then they're just not going to happen. I did a little poll in my personal team page to kind of say like, what are the obstacles and the struggles that you face with the summer schedule? And a lot of them say, or the top two answers were, my kids are home and there's distractions galore, or my own travel gets me off track. So if you kind of set up what those non-negotiables are, then it kind of gives you a peace of mind that once you do those things that are on your non-negotiable list, then you've got the freedom to do whatever the heck else you want to do the rest of the day. If you want to take your kids to the splash pad, if you want to go like, I don't know, whatever else is on your summer list, like then it gives you that freedom to just be like, all right, I did my list of non-negotiable things, and now I like the rest of the expectations of the day are done. So that has been super helpful for me. I am somebody that is very go with the flow. I don't like committing to things. And I always like to say I'm breezy. And so it took me a long time to like dial myself in to like commit to doing like a non-negotiable list. But what I've learned is that having those non-negotiables actually made me feel more free, because if I wasn't doing them, then the weight of it was lingering around me all day. Like then like Mikey's like, hey mom, I want to like, can I show you this Kirby game or whatever? And I'm like, okay, well, how long is it? Because I know I still have to do this other thing, whatever. So it's like it's always just there. But if you know, if you've planned for it and you know you're going to get it done at a certain time, or you know exactly what those bullet points are, then you can just feel a little more weightless when you're doing other things. But you've got to have non-negotiables for not just your business, but life. Because if you are just focused only on your business and you are neglecting those other things that bring you joy, it's going to kind of bring that resentment about your business. And that's the last thing that's like the last place that you want to be in. Because that can happen not just in Beachbody, but in anything. Like you can, if you don't have that kind of balance, then you can just start to feel it like a resentment, like, oh, well, because of my business, I haven't been able to spend time with my husband, or because of my business. And we just kind of use it as a scapegoat when really it's ourself that's getting in our own way, and our disorganization and mismanaged expectations. So that's why you've got to kind of set that plan and set those intentions on your home non-negotiables and your work non-negotiables. All right. Let's see. So the other thing I wanted to bring up with kind of, oh, well, while we're talking about that, let me show you guys this. So I decided to do a summer bucket list. Let's see, my camera's there. There we go. So I made this little summer bucket list, and this is a really cool activity to do with your family. I separated mine into mom, dad, and Mikey. So I have stuff that I put on my own list. I haven't told Mike yet that he needs to make a list, but I'm going to make him participate. And then I am sure Mikey will have no problem filling out his list. But anyways, one of the ways that I have been trying to get my own self into a good flow is by having boundaries. And basically, like when I get a lot of distractions too. I have, a 9-year-old son that's home, and then, my husband has a lot of things always going on, and can be quite a distraction too. And so, like for example, when I'm talking to Mikey and he wants to do something right in the middle of the day of where I've kind of set my work hours, I can say like, hey buddy, we've got these things on the bucket list and I'm really excited to do them. But I have to be able to work my business in order to be able to do these things. And it's like when you involve them in those goals or that bucket list or whatever you want to call it, then it kind of lets them understand how everything works together. Because it's like if you just say like mommy's busy right now, then that's not really giving them a clear picture on why. But if you're telling him like, these things that are on the list, the ones that are in my list and your list, are equally important to me. But in order to be able to do these things, I've got to be able to stay on task with these, with these hours or these, however you want to tell your family. So that's something that I've had to learn. And it's always a work in progress, having those boundaries in place. And being able to say, but you've got to stick to the boundaries. Like if you say you're going to work from 3 to 5 p.m. So that way at 5 p.m. you're free for the rest of the evening to make dinner and hang out with the family. Then at 5 p.m. you've got to be done. Like you can't push them off and say like, oh, I just got to finish these 10 more emails, like if you tell your family that you're going to do something, then you've got to show up for that. So that way they understand that when you made those same boundaries for your business, that you mean it as well for your business. And, they trust you that you're going to show up just like, so it works on both sides, if that makes sense. All right. So I definitely want to encourage you to do the summer bucket list though. And I would love for you guys to actually like share your summer bucket list once you make that, and definitely include your family in it. Now that I already wrote it, like I was, Mikey and I just watched the movie Yes Day, I think it's called, like where there's two parents, like they were super fun before they had kids, and then they had kids and they became boring and had to say no to everything. And so they had a yes day where everything their kids asked them for one day, they had to say yes to. And it could be like the most crazy things, but there had to be some ground rules. Like they couldn't choose something that was in the future, and it had to be like under a certain dollar amount, and it had to be like within a certain geographical location. So anyways, when I was making this list, I was thinking I should have told Mikey there was some ground rules, because my son will choose like going skydiving like across the Great Barrier Reef or something. And he will think that's totally possible. But anyways, so you might want to set some ground rules, but definitely do that and share that with the group. Okay, so back to your workflow. The other thing that's going to be super helpful for you during this summer season, where maybe you have a little less time, or maybe you have to work in more intentional pockets of time. These are some personal development books that have really helped me. The Slight Edge, that's one of those that really just drilled into my head that it is a consistency over time race. It's not like a quarter mile race. It's like longer than a marathon. So if you just keep going and keep just doing those daily activities, whatever those daily commitments are, those non-negotiables are, then that's what's going to win over somebody else who just comes out of the gate, with Success Club 100 for their first couple months and then they fizzle out. So that consistency over time is really, especially now that I'm here like 11 years later, there's some people that I'm like, whatever happened to so-and-so? I have no clue. But then there's other people where like they've just been that consistent quiet storm going along their path, doing their thing, and they've got, amazing results that maybe they're not like flashing on a billboard, but like it's still been, they're still showing up and doing their thing and, winning their race. The other one is Eat That Frog. That one I think is really applicable right now, like where you do want to kind of get those initial tasks out of the way. Like I was saying earlier, if you can just kind of get those non-negotiables off your plate, that way the rest of your day, you're free to do those other things, those other commitments that you have, those other things that you want to do with your family and spend time with your kids or whatever. I think that is also just really super helpful so that you are getting those like income producing activities done first and worrying about the fluff later. All right. So the other thing I wanted to bring up, this is something new that I just started doing. I used to keep a calendar that, like I said, my husband and I have now kind of branched out to having multiple businesses. So it's like we've got Beachbody, and then we have our tour business, and then we travel a ton. And then now Mikey's getting older, so he has more activities that he does. And I kind of had everything separate, like in separate buckets. But then that would get confusing because, they're all like, well, the basis of all of that stuff is us. So like I decided to start putting everything on one calendar. So like I actually printed these out, and I heard some advice about actually taking these and like posting these, putting your work hours on them and posting them like where you do your work, your office, or, if you working at the kitchen table, like put them on the refrigerator or something. So that way, like if you do have kids and they know that you're going to be at home but working, they can see like, okay, she's going to be working from 9 to 12. Like, so that way everybody kind of knows what's going on. Like I said, I've not always been the most organized person, and I like fought myself over, putting myself in a box, but it is much more freeing for some reason to just kind of have it out there and to be able to know like, because then you can see if you're off balance, and you can say like, all right, like I have planned a ton of commitments with this business, but I've not put any attention to having a date night, or I've put like, I'm taking my kids to a million different camps and going to the movies and this and that, but then I'm not showing up for my business, you know, so you can kind of see it right in front of you and kind of know where you might need to make some changes or schedule things differently. So that's been something new that I'm incorporating and has been helpful so far. And let's see. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, since we are talking about summer, is your own vacations. Because a lot of us will travel, you know, for family vacations or to family reunions, things like that. I don't necessarily, like, you know, we do have Summit and that kind of thing, but that's like a business trip. But for like family vacations, that's something also where you have to kind of really be intentional on how present, or like kind of what level of presentness you're going to have, and kind of decide that from the beginning. Like I said, like travel is one of my main sources of joy. I absolutely love traveling. And there's been times that I have gone with no plan at all and just been like, I don't mean like no plan as to where we're going. I mean like no plan for my business. And I'm like, oh, well, we're just going to get there and then I'll kind of see how everything goes and I'll figure out where I can fit my business in. And every time I've done that, it's been a huge fail, like a total horrible fail, because when you just kind of leave it up to chance like that, then it just falls through the cracks. When you're traveling, and especially if you're like in different time zones and things like that, it makes it very difficult. So you've got to have a plan. And something that I work with a life coach sometimes, and one thing that she has really like drilled into my head is that, like, if you make a decision, stick by that decision. So if you make a decision that you're only going to, like, you know, be available for 1 hour a day with your business, or you're only going to share, you know, be on social media 1 hour a day or whatever, then that's fine. You made a decision, stick to that, and have boundaries around that decision. And that way, like, you can share that intention. You can tell your team, like, I'm not going to be checking into the challenge group for these days. So that way you can maybe appoint somebody to run the challenge group for you that day, or that week, or you can have someone in your team, hey, can you show up and answer any questions from you coaches this week? But if you just make that decision on how you want to handle your family vacation, you will just be able to communicate that, express those expectations to your family and spouse and who you're traveling with, as well as your team and your challengers. So that way they know what to expect from you and you're not feeling like you let anybody down. So that's something else that has been super helpful for me, because I definitely do struggle there with like not sharing expectation or not communicating what my expectations are. And then I get to the end of something and don't like how it rolled out, I guess. So if you just kind of make a decision and stick with it and express that, then you can have that freedom to know that that's how it's going to be. And you can let everybody that who's going to be affected by it, let them know as well. So, but I think that is pretty much everything that I've got for you. I did want to give you guys that homework of really taking that 30 minutes of just uninterrupted time, not on your phone, not, you know, half listening to whatever show you're currently obsessed with. And, you know, just like give yourself that freedom to think about how you want your summer to be and make that summer bucket list. And then you can work from that and kind of reverse engineer from there to just make those things happen in your personal life and your business life. So
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jennifer, does anybody have any questions for Jennifer before we let her go? As you guys think up those questions, I'm just sitting here watching and I'm like, it's been so awesome over the past 11 years to watch Jennifer go from where she started when we were both starting this journey to the incredible person that she is now. Awesome wife, mom, or owning and running multiple businesses, like living her best life. It just overwhelms me. It's so cool. Jennifer, I just sent a video. I was chatting with Brad a little earlier. One of our friends, I sent a little video to him. I was like, look at Jennifer. Isn't she awesome? Teaching everybody. So anybody have any questions for Jennifer? I've been even the years I've been a coach, it's been a great transformation to see. Yeah, Heather said it's been awesome to see your transformation as well. I just want to reiterate a couple of the things that I heard that have really worked well for me. And I put them in the chat, but for example, the bucket list thing, I also want to see each of you make that bucket list of things that you personally want to do and involve your kids in that. I want it written out, like Jennifer said, and posted in the team page. We want to see what those things are. I think a cool thing as well, and something that Laura did recently, is like you could make one of those thermometer things and estimate what it's going to cost to do that bucket list item thing if it has a cost to it, and then tie in or reverse engineer in some business goals on how you could do those bucket list items and pay for them with your business as well. I think that'd be a great way to do that. But for example, I'm at the cabin with my 13-year-old, her friend, and my 6-year-old. And it just reminded me of that importance of setting boundaries and communicating. Because like this morning when we woke up, it's just natural for me now, but I know it wasn't in the beginning for me to just say, okay, Mila, from 9:30 to 11, I'm going to be in this room and I'm going to be answering all of my messages. And that means my BAT for my business, which allows us to be here. And then right after that, I have a phone call and then I have a team call and then I'll be done at 1:00. So it's just setting real specific expectations and telling them what you're going to do. So I really love that you touched on that, Jen. Okay. Anybody else have any comments or any questions before we let you all go? Okay. Well, I want to say thank you guys for being here on the team call with us. Oh man, it says my internet is unstable. Could you guys hear me? Okay. Everybody was frozen.
Yeah,
Then it said
you
unstable.
froze up at one point.
Oh, I was like, oh man.
You froze up at one awkward point in the video, but
I'm like, yeah, like you guys got froze and then it said internet unstable. I'm like, I don't know what anybody heard. But anyway, thank you guys all for being on here. Jennifer, thank you for scheduling out the time and tying yourself down to a schedule with us today on this team call. But we're super grateful that you are on this team and for your leadership and everything that you've done. I'm super proud of you. And we will see you guys all on the next week's team call. See you guys later.
All right. See you guys.